Now approaching the 7-minute mark until launch today. This will be a speedy 2-orbit rendezvous for Progress, with docking scheduled at 8:02 a.m. Central Time, 9:02 a.m. Eastern Time later this morning. Once Progress does arrive in the vicinity of the International Space Station later this morning, the Russian cosmonauts on board the International Space Station, Oleg Artemyev and Denis Matviev, will be inside the Zvezda service module at a control panel called the TRU system. That stands for the Telerobotically Operated Rendezvous System, and they'll be prepared to operate a joystick in the unlikely event a problem would occur with the core's automated rendezvous system. Five and a half minutes until launch, everything continuing to proceed as planned. The fuel lines and other elements of the booster's engines are being purged with nitrogen. This enables them to be fireproofed by removing any vapors of fuel and oxidizer. Now approaching the T-minus 4-minute 30-second mark and counting. Following Progress lifting off today, there will be one delta velocity burn to align Progress's orbit to match that of the International Space Station. Because this is a quick 2-orbit rendezvous and a narrow phase angle for launch, not as many burns are required to align the orbit of Progress to the International Space Station. We are approaching the 3-minute mark until launch. Once we do hit the 3-minute mark, propellant drainback will begin. Propellant drainback is underway. Weather looking good, 85 degrees, clear skies. Coming up on the 2-minute mark, the first stage is being pressurized for flight, optimizing the flow of fuel to help add structural support to the rocket. At about the T-minus 30-second mark, the first of 2 servicing umbilicals will retract from the booster, followed about 15 seconds later by the retraction of the second umbilical that will initiate the auto sequence start for engine ignition. One minute, 30 seconds until launch. Now 1 minute until launch.
Пацаны!
Не.
Сейчас же полтора.
Мачта отойдет,
Progress now on internal power, and we have separation of the first of the 2 umbilicals on your screen, as you saw there. T-minus 20 seconds and counting. Auto sequence has been initiated. We have a command for engine sequence start. We have it engine ignition, turbo pumps building up to flight speed, and the second umbilical has retracted. And liftoff. Liftoff of the Progress 81, its destination, the world's only orbital laboratory, the iconic International Space Station. Good roll, pitch, and yaw program reported from Baikonur. First stage performance reported to be nominal from the blockhouse in Baikonur. Good vehicle stabilization reported. Good chamber pressure reported on the first stage. Now 1 minute into today's flight, passing through maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. All continues to be reported going well. Now 1 minute 40 seconds into today's flight. Standing by for first stage separation. And first stage separation confirmed. The boosters falling away from the Progress vehicle. The vehicle now flying on second stage engines. Continuing to hear good calls from Baikonur. Now approaching 2 minutes, 25 seconds into today's flight. The Progress booster traveling almost 5,000 miles an hour. Hearing good calls on the second stage engines as well. Everything continuing to look good as we approach the 3-minute mark into the flight. Three minutes, 15 seconds into the flight, 5.5 minutes remaining of powered flight. The launch shroud has been jettisoned. Second stage engine performance going well. And on the screen, you're looking at a view from a camera on the upper stage of the Progress booster. Second stage separation. Hearing good calls on the second stage. The vehicle continues to be reported to be stable. Everything is looking good. Second stage shutdown and separation. And the skirt has been jettisoned. Continuing to get good reports on the vehicle, everything looking stable. Third stage engines performing as expected. Six minutes and 45 seconds into today's flight, 2 minutes of powered flight remaining, continuing to hear good calls. Just about 1 minute of powered flight remaining, everything looking good, the vehicle is stable. 8.5 minutes into today's flight, coming up on third stage shutdown and spacecraft separation. Third stage shutdown and third stage separation. The next step will be the deployment of the solar arrays and the navigational antennas on the Progress 81. As you can see, the solar arrays now being deployed. And you're now getting a view from a balcony camera in the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow. And we are getting the first view from an external camera on the Progress 81. This is the same data screen that we'll be watching during rendezvous operations later today. It was a perfect launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, that launch occurring at 4:32 a.m. Central Time. Progress completed an 8.5-minute climb to orbit with everything going smoothly. Progress is now well on its way to the International Space Station. It will complete a quick 2-orbit rendezvous with a series of pre-programmed engine firings taking place to help bring Progress into the vicinity of the International Space Station for its automated docking scheduled at 8:02 a.m. Eastern Time. 8:02 a.m. Central Time. We'll be back on the air to cover docking, and our coverage will begin at 7:15 a.m. Central Time, with a docking at 8:02 Central Time. But for now, Progress had a successful launch and orbital insertion carrying nearly 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to the Expedition 67 crew on the International Space Station. We'll see you back on the air here shortly, but for now, this is Mission Control Houston.